Mm. We are live. We are live on Modern Goddess Lifestyle Facebook page. I'm Allie McFee, and I'm here with my sweet sister, Sabrina of Sacred Lotus, Yoni Steam. Super honored to have you here with us. So welcome, everyone. I'm Allie of Modern Goddess Lifestyle, a women's health educator and hormone balancing chef. And we are going to dive deep in such a juicy conversation around yoni steaming for hormone balance. So before we begin, I want to introduce this amazing goddess to you all here. This is Sabrina. She is the founder of Sacred Lotus Yoni Steam, and she's also a hydrotherapist, and I'm honored to have her here because she's going to share some sacred wisdom about yoni steam bathing and how it can help with natural hormone balance, as well as forgiveness, some of the warning signs to look for in your menstrual cycle, as well as how this ancient sacred practice can assist with menopausal symptoms. So Sabrina, in her teachings, she illuminates the phases of our menstrual cycle, fertility solutions, birth control detox, herbal remedies, feminine archetypes, tantric dance with wise teachers, and she embodies the work through her own daily rituals and connection to her womb, which is so important. The sister's doing the work. And so, yeah, we're just so honored to have you here, Goddess. And yeah, welcome.
Give thanks. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. It's beautiful to be recognized and acknowledged by our fellow sister queens in that process of rising each other up and always elevating ourselves. When we elevate the sisterhood, we elevate the planet. So give thanks.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I just want to apologize to everyone if you're hearing loud noises in the background. I'm currently in Bali. There may be some roosters crowing. There may be some sounds of people building on buildings next to me. So I just wanted to put that out there. But I don't think you can hear it too much with the headphones in. So yeah, let's just dive in. So Sabrina, I'm curious to hear more about your journey, how you came into this ritual practice, why you use it, how did you discover it? Let us learn a little bit more about you.
Well, sister, I was one of those girls that used to get chronic urinary tract infections. And so that was just something that followed me from high school all through college and, even into my 20s. And yes, I was making love intense and dancing all night long in thongs, but there seemed to be something else going on, and so what I came to after literally 12 or 13, oh my gosh, maybe more years of dealing with chronic urinary tract infections, I was like, I wear bamboo clothes, I eat all organic, I'm plant-based, nothing is touching or going in my body that I don't feel comfortable with. And I'm taking antibiotics every month. And I didn't want to do that anymore. And there's something wrong with that picture, and a really incredible event happened in my life where I went to my sister's birthday party and my sister got bitten by a tick and they wanted my sister to take all these antibiotics. And I told her, listen, go to an herbalist, go to a naturopath, do something before you take all these crazy drugs, just go see somebody else. And so she went and down the block from where she lived to a shop, spoke to an herbalist, was so impacted that she quit her career and went to school for clinical herbalism. And 1 year into, her studies, she called me and she says, do you know about this yoni steaming? And I was like, no, what's that? And she's like, this is what's going to cure your urinary tract infections. And so she created and formulated a specific blend for me that was antibacterial, antimicrobial, antiviral herbs, and shared with me how to yoni steam and gave me all the clues that I needed. And I started yoni steaming. And that was the moment that my life changed, my full reproductive health started drastically changing. It also changed my connection to my womb space, my connection to my femininity, my understanding of who I was as a feminine woman on this planet, whose purpose really is to nurture, create life, and also to connect with the plants, animals, and, spirit beings, because these plants, I realized, as many of us may know, were literally put on this planet to support our healing. And to even think that there was any separation between us, we need each other. And, these things started, these downloads started happening. And at the time I was co-hosting women's circles in Southern California. And I wanted to bring the Yoni steaming to the women's circle. And so I brought the Yoni steaming to the women's circle. I was advised by another sister how to do it in ritual, and we held the first Yoni steam. And it was incredible to have so many women steaming together and healing together with the energy of the moon. And then women started coming to me and saying, hey, you know what? I bleed for like 10 days. I don't know, is that normal? What's going on? Or another woman would say, oh, I have these chronic infections, or I have breakouts, or, I only get one period every 3 months. Is this going to help me? And I was like, you know what? I don't know if it's going to help you, but I'm going to find out. So I started researching, and I started researching the herbs and connecting with my sister. Hey, sis, what herbs can be used for, BV virus? What herbs can be used for a short cycle? And then I found Peristeam Hydrotherapy, which is actually the science behind our moon blood and medicinal herbs. And so I started training to become a Peristeam Hydrotherapist. And I'm so excited because I'm almost complete with my certification. In this moment, I'm a certified vaginal steam therapist. So, which means I am certified to give you an intake and read your blood like a tarot card. And from my intake, I can see, okay, this is what's going on with her. This is what brown blood means. This is what spotting means. This is what cramps mean. This is what flood bleeding means. This is what absent periods mean. How do we detox from birth control? How do we heal after a pregnancy, after we've given birth? How do we call in a pregnancy when we've been given the title that we are infertile? And how do we support our transition through menopause or work on turning back the tide of perimenopause? There's so many different categories. What about ovarian cysts and PCOS and endometriosis? So many sisters suffering from these conditions right now. And the only options that we're given are prescription drugs, birth control, surgery, invasive procedures, all things that can really be supported with the natural medicine path, Yoni steaming being a very important spoke in that wheel. Mm-hmm. So women started asking me, oh, hey, how do I get your herbs? And I was like, well, that's a great question. Maybe I should make some for you. And then Sacred Lotus was born. So, and Sacred Lotus was born not only by myself, but with my romantic partner at the time, who was completely dedicated to the feminine and saw the vision and supported it, as well as my sister, who had graduated with her clinical herbalism degree. So, I don't know if it's necessarily agree with graduated as a clinical herbalist, right? And so really Sacred Lotus is coming from a place of the balance of the masculine and feminine, as the masculine creates the back end, and so the female is allowed to create and move forth. And a traditional medical standpoint. So all of our herbs are backed clinically by an herbalist. Nothing is just a bunch of things thrown in a bag and said, here you go, Yoni steam. Everything is specifically designed and formulated clinically and medicinally and organic.
Beautiful. And what you're saying is so, so important, because a lot of sisters will come to this without understanding how to actually use specific herbs for their conditions. And, some herbs are more circulating and can contract the uterus. And if you have short cycles, it can impact your cycle. So being able to have the wisdom behind what herbs to use for what is so important. And I love that you have that science behind it. We have some sisters here with us live. I just see Lotus is saying hello and has some questions. Kelly is here. So if anyone has questions, you're welcome to ask us in the chat box, as well as say hello. Where are you from? How are you feeling today? Welcome, welcome. And what you're saying is really important. For me, I discovered I'm trying to say your business name. I discovered Yoni steaming into my hormone balancing journey. For me, I suffered from 2-week-long menstrual cycles, and about half of that 2-week-long period was brown blood, sometimes even like gray blood with lots of clots coming out, and then super, super heavy bleeds when they actually came, like massively exhausting time in my life. And it wasn't until I started using Yoni steam baths as a way to regulate my cycle and bring, circulation to my womb, so that it could release some of that excess blood that was caked on from my uterus from previous cycles ahead. It wasn't until I started to do that the brown blood really started to clear up. When I dove into nutrition and hormone balancing practices, that really helped to decrease those 7 days of brown that I was seeing to 3 days, 2 days, 4 days. But it wasn't until the Yoni steam baths that I was doing that actually helped my bleed just come on red, rather than first the blood that was coming that was brown, that was old blood. So some of the sisters that are probably watching may have never heard of a Yoni steam bath before and don't know how this process works. And so I would love, actually, if you would like to explain that. This is an ancient Mayan ritual, and we're so blessed to have it now available to us, this wisdom available to us in our modern day time. So if you'd like to share, Sabrina, a little bit of the history, and also like, how do we Yoni steam? Like what does this consist of, so some of our sisters can understand?
Absolutely. So the incredible thing about Yoni steaming is actually that it's a women's medicine tradition that has origins around the world, from Africa to India to East Asia to Viking Europe to Central and South America, Turtle Island. So this was actually an herbal women's medicine tradition. And this is what I just like to share this. Who do you think went out into the woods and came back saying, this herb heals cuts and burns? It was the women. And we were the medicine women, and we were the shamans, and we went out there, we communicated with Gaia, we spoke to the plants, we received the downloads from the plants, and we came back with the medicine from the plants, right? And this happened all over the world. So this is a women's tradition. It is not, it doesn't have roots grounded in any one particular place. And so that is just so important to share, so that every woman can know that their ancestors were connected to plants, and that they have the opportunity to connect to the plants of their ancestry, because those are the plants that are going to be the most potent medicine for them. So what is Yoni steaming? What even is this, right? Well, let's just even start with the word Yoni. The word Yoni is Sanskrit for vagina, right? And so vagina, some Western medical term that was given to us, which doesn't even feel good, which is why so many of us, have made up so many nicknames for our most sacred portal, because it just doesn't feel good to say that word. But when we say the word Yoni, which translates into sacred place or sacred temple, there brings a sacredness and a connectedness to our own body that begins to wash away the guilt and shame that many of us feel just around, going from our belly button down, that has been given to us by parents, society, religion, old partners, our own, ideas of self-worth. And so what Yoni steaming actually is the process of using medicinal herbs to, correct imbalances in our womb space through the steam. And how that works is, if you can imagine taking a bunch of herbs and you boil them in a pot just like you would and you make this tea, and you drink this tea water, you know that the medicinal value from the herbs are going into your body. But what happens when you drink a tea is that they go into your digestive tract first, and then after your digestive tract is done digesting, the medicine disperses. Instead, when we're yoni steaming, we're doing the same thing where we take that pot of herbs and we boil that pot of herbs. Instead, we put a cap on the pot. And so the volatile and aromatherapeutic herbs get released, and the oils from the herbs, get released into the water, and then they come up and collect in the steam. So then you have this potent medicinal steam. And what we do is we kneel or squat over this pot of herbs, and that potent medicinal steam comes up. And the first thing that happens is, one, the heat from the steam begins to bring blood flow, warmth, energy, circulation to our entire pelvic region. It sends a message to our muscles, hey, it's okay to relax. What's a cramp? A cramp is a contraction. Many of us suffer from terrible cramps, bloating, pain, challenging menstrual cycles, PMS, depression, backaches. A lot of that has to do, anxiety, tension, stress. A lot of that has to do literally with cramping of our body, cramping of our muscles, even those of us that live in cold environments, cold houses, damp places, right? So the heat is bringing energy, warmth, and life to this part of our body. Many of us are sitting down for 8 hours a day at a desk, and we're just feeling numb down there. We've had sexual trauma. We don't want to feel energetically. We're blocked up. So that heat is saying, hey, I'm bringing life force back to your pelvic region, back to your reproductive organs, back to your sacred yoni. And then that heat opens up our pores. Just like in a shower, we know, oh, we're opening up our pores, and so our skin is we're gonna be able to, do a nice cleansing of our skin. That heat is bringing that same opening up of the pores to our sacred regions, and that medicinal steam literally enters our skin and comes up into our bloodstream and is able to travel through our bloodstream into our womb space. So this is literally a direct medicine that goes right into the womb. And the first job of the herbs is clearing and cleansing the endometrial lining of our womb, cleansing old residue and tissue that has been stuck in there, which is what you were explaining before. Why did I have brown blood? Why did I have clots? What's that all about? Old blood and tissue that has never been able to release. And why is that? Well, we've been bleeding, some of us for 20 years, some longer, some little less. Every single month, our body sends blood to our uterus. Our uterus, our period, our moon time, that is a uterine cleanse. So every month, our uterus is like, time to cleanse. I'm going to send all this blood through, all the reproductive organs so that it can wash out any toxins and make sure we're ready to conceive. And so maybe we have a lot of stress. Maybe we haven't had the best eating habits. Maybe we have environmental toxins. Maybe we've had, fill in the blank, that our body just needs support in being able to release everything that is going on and everything that's being built and released in that constant cycle. Right. And so the yoni steaming's first support is clearing and cleansing the womb space of old tissue and residue and anything that's been caught up. And then, oh, what if I have cysts? What if I have fibroids? The yoni steam supports literally in dislodging them from our body so that we can release them naturally through our menstrual cycles, something that many women are told they must have surgery over. What if many women that have miscarriages or aren't able to conceive? Literally, there's just so much old tissue going on that an egg can't nestle into the lining and stick there and stay, or it's a toxic or unhealthy or filled up environment for a baby to grow, and the body knows that. So what, in chronic infections, yeast infections, urinary tract infections, what that really is, one, a lack of hydration, but also just excess buildup of bacteria that when exposed to a medicinal steam is, that bacteria, gets killed, and it doesn't kill the good bacteria because it works on the over excess of bacteria instead of eradicating the entire, microbiome vibe. So, that's just a little bit about the physicalness. And I think I shared a little bit just challenging menstrual cycles, infections, postpartum healing, infertility, perimenopause, menopause, all life stages and phases of our reproductive system are supported through medicinal herbs and through the practice of yoni steaming. And it's a self-health ritual, but it's also a self-love ritual. And that's really where embodying the divine feminine comes in, and getting in touch with ourselves and getting in touch with nature. When we're making that pot of herbs, we are setting up our sacred space. We're putting out our crystals, we're setting up our candles. This is no child time, no husband time, no boyfriend time. No one's there. This is in our room. We put down our yoga mat, we put down our pillows, we write down our intentions. If we're yoni steaming with the new moon, we're calling it in. No, yoni steaming with the full moon, we're releasing it. We're playing some music. We're speaking to our herbs. We're literally speaking to our herbs and putting the vibration of our prayers that are leaving our mouth, infusing the herbs with them, so that when we're actually steaming, the herbs can carry the messages and the energetic vibration into our womb space. If we want to release and let go, we take that moment, we imagine our muscles, we imagine our bodies releasing and letting go of the energy that we've been holding on to, that resentment, that anger, that fear, that pain, that all resides in the womb. And guess what? That's holding us back. And that's not hurting anyone but us. It's getting grounded in the fact that when we're forgiving for ourselves. So we set ourselves free from the shackles that we are keeping ourselves down by that energy. Being angry at someone isn't hurting anyone but us. And it's not worth it. And when we do the yoni steam, when we give ourselves that love, we're sending that message to our body. Hey, I'm more important than that. I love myself. I honor myself. I respect my body temple. I'm here. I'm present. I'm releasing this. I'm giving it back to the earth. I'm giving it back to Gaia, so that Gaia can take that energy and transform it and make flowers somewhere. And one day I'm going to dance in that flower field, and I'm going to know that was my anger that I gave it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything you're saying is just like, so juicy. I love your passion and incredibly explained. So I want to speak to something you were saying with this, the old blood that was caked on my uterus, and then using yoni steaming to help release that. Mm-hmm. So I was on the birth control contraceptive, taking it internally for half a decade. And for anyone who doesn't know what the birth control contraceptive does, or any pharmaceutical hormones,
sister, because everyone needs to know the real story. Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. So it actually suppresses ovulation. Your body never releases an egg. And as a women's health and nutrition coach, I teach about the 4 phases we go through hormonally each month. We have our menstrual phase, we're shedding the uterine lining, all of our hormones return to a low level. We have our follicular phase, our inner spring, estrogen's rising. We release 15 to 20 eggs on our ovaries. Those follicles get nourished. One of those eggs bursts through during ovulation, and then that's our inner summer. And then during our inner fall, our luteal phase, progesterone levels kick up to help sustain the uterine lining, so that if we did get pregnant, we wouldn't have a miscarriage. And so we go through this hormonal rhythm, and the birth control contraceptive actually suppresses ovulation. So it's like we're in a perpetual state of pre-ovulatory hormones, and we never go through this rhythm, this cycle that you're talking about of death and rebirth, of being able to tune into that ritual aspect of living from our wombs and letting go. What am I releasing this this month? What is no longer serving me? How can I come into love and forgive and let go to create space to grow something the month ahead? And so for me, you know, being on the birth control contraceptive, that pill, when I bled, it was just me taking the sugar pills, which was a cessation of the synthetic hormones. It was just, you know, the sugar pills. So that week my period came, but it wasn't a real period. It was a period brought on from the cessation of the synthetic hormones, and then that just causes the uterine lining to release, not from egg release, didn't get pregnant, then uterine lining releases. It was just, you know, a shed. So that caused my body to depend on these hormones that said, okay, now you're done with this phase. Now it's time to bleed. And then I'd start to take, you know, the next set for the month ahead. So then my period would stop, because then I'd start to take the hormones to kick in to, you know, start a new cycle. So, you know, my uterus didn't get a chance to say, hey, I'm done bleeding, or hey, I'm fully done shedding. It was the pill that was telling my body when to stop and start bleeding. And deeper layers of that emotionally, I can see how that connects to the way that I connected with my emotions at the time and recycled my emotional energy. I was feeling this massive buildup of emotional energy. I didn't know how to do inner child healing at that time of my life. I didn't know how to tune into my womb and know my yeses and my nos and do self-care love practices. So what this did is it created this like buildup. And so then every time I went to bleed, I had 7 days of brown, because it was all this excess residue. And so what you're saying about the ritual component of this, as well as the scientific component of, you know, helping all these large ranges of symptoms that can happen in women's health, you know, this is really, really powerful medicine for us at these current times when society is so like, go, 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 go. Like what you said, this is not your time for your beloved, your boyfriend, your children, you know, your best friend. Like, this is time for you to tune into your body and create intentions and have that release process. And, you know, this is something we can do before we bleed and after we bleed to help us prepare for that, and then to prepare for the month ahead. So what you're saying is potent. And yeah, do you have anything else you'd like to reflect on what I just shared?
Absolutely. You know, the best times to yoni steam for our physical body, for the women listening, are before our menstrual cycle, so that our body, once again, we start relaxing the muscles and we're telling our body, hey, it's okay to bleed. It's all right, you know, which we need to have that knowledge. And then after our menstrual cycle too, to finish the cleansing process, right? And I want to touch too on yoni steaming is an incredible tool to detox from birth control. And so what one of the other things that birth control does is it puts fake estrogen into our body, which masks our real estrogen. And what it does, and there have been studies on this very specifically, but it literally masks our body's ability to smell pheromones. So it masks our ability to smell the right mate for us. So if many of us are like, how did I get involved with this man? Like, what is going on? Or maybe you were on birth control and then you got off birth control and had a baby and looked at the man you had a baby with and said, why was I with this person? We're completely alike. I'm repulsed by them. Or any, type of a situation that's like that. It's literally because when we're on birth control, we aren't smelling correctly. So we're not attracted to the right mate for us. Then we get off the birth control and our smelling returns back to normal, and we realize, or back to our health, and we realize that this was not the person for us. So if you've ever wondered how you wound up with some people, birth control is a factor in that. And it's also already been put on the list of toxic substances for people in the United States. So birth control is officially a toxic substance. And if you feel like it's the only thing that you can do, I just would like you to know that there are natural methods of birth control. One of them is the fertility awareness method, which is not the rhythm method, which is pulling out.
Yeah.
So there's, real life other methods of birth control. And what I want to share as well is, as far as, if you would like to start detoxing from birth control, one of the best herbal blends that I have with Sacred Lotus that you can use is our Cosmic Egg Fertility Blend. And don't be scared by the words fertility, because it has extremely nourishing herbs in it, like red clover, red raspberry leaf, and what's another, and nettles. So that those are herbs from the wise woman tradition that are replenishing our body from minerals that have been leached from our body from birth control and other substances like magnesium, zinc, folate, B vitamins, things that we need and that we're not necessarily getting from our food, that we need for our body to continue moving and working in the way that it serves us the highest. So that's what I have to say about that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, it just paused. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sometimes there's a little bit of a lag on the internet here. Yeah, I know you had mentioned nettle and red raspberry leaf. And for any women that are listening to this who are actually in perimenopause and in menopause phases of their life, have already stopped their bleed, this is actually great for this time of your life as well. And with nettles and red raspberry leaf and even kelp, these are all herbs that can actually help with vaginal dryness, which can be a symptom during the time of menopause, because our ovaries are actually significantly reducing the amount of estrogen that they produced. And this production goes to our adrenals. However, if our 20s and 30s and 40s have been spent, like going and going and going, and then we rely on, sugar and caffeine to give us energy to raise our family, our poor adrenals may be fatigued and not be producing the estrogen we need to keep our vagina lubricated. So this nettle and kelp, red raspberry leaf can be really supportive for menopause and perimenopause times. And so, yeah, we have a couple questions here. Shall we tackle a few questions?
Sure.
Okay. Let's see. So Lotus is asking, I also would love to know if there's any time a woman should not yoni steam if she's in the process to conceive. I've heard once there's a certain time of the month that if trying to conceive, it can cause a miscarriage. I have some ideas around this, but I'd like to offer this to you first, if you'd like to tackle that one.
Thank you. Amazing. And we can both tag team on it, but there are contraindications to yoni steaming, and I always share them. So now is the time. One is never yoni steam while menstruating. And so, it might seem like a no-brainer to some, but we never want to put anything up while things are going down. And another is we don't yoni steam if we are pregnant or think we may be pregnant. We do not yoni steam if we have any open sores or wounds. And we only yoni steam for 10 minutes with a mild steam if we have an IUD. So with that being said, yoni steaming for fertility. Now, in the Peristeam Hydrotherapy Institute, we have a full protocol, which first starts with a uterine reset, because many women, for example, contact me like, hey, I'm trying to get pregnant. I only have a period once every 3 months. So there a fertility protocol, or I'm trying to get pregnant, I have PCOS, or I'm trying to get pregnant, but XYZ, I have, something going on, right? So the first thing that needs to be done before you can think about getting pregnant is getting your cycle to a standard healthy cycle. And what a standard healthy cycle looks like is you're bleeding every 28 to 30 days for 4 to 5 days with fresh red blood. That means no spotting, no brown blood, no clots, no absent periods, no missing periods, no bleeding heavy for 10 days. We need to start by regulating to a standard healthy cycle. And so there's a protocol for that, a Yoni steam protocol for that, and it's called the uterine reset. When we have regulated to a basic 28 to 30 day cycle, then we know our ovulation. Our ovulation is days 14 through 16 when we're on that cycle, right? And if you don't have a standard healthy cycle, you can get pregnant. And there's also a large possibility that you will not be able to carry that to term. So it's important to remember it's not about getting pregnant. It's about carrying a healthy baby to term. Right. And so when we have our standard healthy cycle and we can consciously predict our ovulation, that is when we're yoni steaming. And there's a protocol to this. And I do counsel women on that, and I'm qualified to do that. But you're basically on a specific protocol, only going to yoni steam until ovulation. And you stop yoni steaming after ovulation. Because if you yoni steam during ovulation, there's a possibility that you can dislodge a newly fertilized egg, or take, an egg down a path that it won't have the opportunity to be fertilized.
Yes. Everything you're saying. That's actually what I was trained in about. So, some of these herbs, like rose in particular, can be very circulating and contracting for the uterus. It helps to dispel that old blood. It can be really helpful right before you bleed. But if you're trying to get pregnant and you're yoni steaming right during ovulation or right after ovulation, and when that egg meets the sperm and travels to implant into the uterine wall, if your uterus is contracting, that lining can be flimsy and not be able to hold the fertilized egg. So definitely what you're saying, there's a time for it and a time not for it. So it's good that this question was asked. That's why we're doing this video. Is this education is really important, because this is such a hot topic these days. And there's not a lot of the depth of education being shared. So I really value and appreciate what you are speaking upon, and the studies, the in-depth studies that you have done to understand these methods, so that you can support a wide range of conditions that women are going through. Julie just has a comment. She says, wow, masking pheromone smelling. My whole life makes sense now. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Totally. Yeah. Is there an herb that you would recommend best for a UTI? Is there one that you would recommend to start with?
Well, I recommend steaming with my Yogini Solstice herbal blend, of course, because all of the herbs in it are specifically formulated for this. And if to name some of the herbs in there that are, very high caliber: Pau de Arco, Uva ursi, corn silk, right? Those are all really great herbs that are going to move that infection and delete it from your system. But it also contains Damiana and rose, for example. Those are self-love, or an aphrodisiac and a self-love herb. Because why? Why did we get that UTI? Well, we probably weren't loving ourselves or taking care of ourselves enough. So that's why it came on, and so there's, a blend of not only antibacterial, antimicrobial, antiviral herbs, also antispasmodic herbs, but also self-love and honoring herbs, so that we can restore, the energetic balance to our yoniverse, as well as take care of the infection.
The universe, right? looking at ourselves as the microcosm of the macrocosm of Earth, the universe, the cycles, the seasons that we have internally. Absolutely. I love that. There are some more questions down here, and some of them are pretty specific. So I'd like to say and invite all of you, if you have specific things that you're working through with your health, you can reach out to Sabrina directly, check out her herbal blends. I'd love to just briefly share a little bit more about what you have upcoming. I know that you have a retreat that's coming up soon, right? It's in like a
It
week or
is.
so. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, I'm currently sojourning in New York. I'm a West Coast baby, but I have found myself on the East Coast for the summer. So I am co-hosting with my blood sister, who is a clinical herbalist, which is so beautiful and nourishing that we found a space to co-create a beautiful retreat at a biodynamic farm called Raven Crest Botanicals. And our retreat is called Awakening the Sacred Womb with Plant Medicine. And so this retreat not only combines Yoni Egg Crystal practice, Yoni Steam Temple ceremony, tantric dance, classes in plant attunement, plant meditation, herbal medicine making, all food, farm to table, coming off of this farm, prepared for us 3 times a day, yoga, soul medicine in the mornings. I mean, I can go on, but what I'd love to share is that we will be having recipes from Modern Goddess Lifestyle. So as you may or may not know, and how she shared before, Allie's food, meditation is hormone balancing as well as seasonally balancing the foods that we eat. And that was so very important to me to provide in my retreat. So we'll be having her recipes there with us. I'm so excited about that. And that is June 14th through 16th in Bern, New York. And we do have a few spots available, and please contact me. I'll send you the retreat information. I'd also like to share that we have 20% off promo code for anybody here that is watching that would like to purchase something from our Yoni boutique. And that promo code is Modern Goddess, and it's 20% off my Sacred Lotus Yoni boutique, as well as 10% off services with a clinical herbalist, Ariel Hyatt. Because if you really, women, if you have something out there that is chronic or systemic, or if you're really trying to solve it and you really want to do it, you got to see a clinical herbalist and get a 360 health. You got to get your tinctures. You got to get your teas. You got to get your dietary stuff. You got to get your Yoni steaming custom blend herbs just for your body. You got to get your protocols, because if you really want to take charge of your health, it's not about just not going to a Western doctor because you don't want to go there. You got to become your own doctor. And if you really want to be that medicine woman, you have to understand what medicine is and how to ingest it in your body. Like chaste tree berry, for example, it's becoming a thing right now for hormone balance. But did you know that if you use too low of a dose, you're going to lower your sexual libido? How do you know what that dosage is for you? And the same goes with all herbs. If you're buying an herbal blend off of the internet, or if you're just going into an herb shop and saying, oh, I love rosemary, I love motherwort. If you have short cycles, which means your period comes every 24 days, you could seriously deplete your cycle and make it go away. If you have, flood bleeding and you use the wrong herbs, you could make yourself bleed more. So as a Peristeam Hydrotherapist in training and on my way, but as a certified vaginal steam therapist, I know what herbs that you can use for your cycle, and you can learn that too, for yourself, so that you can become that medicine woman, that divine feminine goddess radiating nectar, walking down the street, knowing exactly what's good for her and exactly what's not.
Yummy. I love that. Yeah, so if anybody wants to find Sabrina, it's at your website, sacredlotusyonisteam.com. It's posted in the link with this video, so check her out there. Check out all that yummy goodness. And if you are watching and you are from Indiana, that's originally where I'm from. Now I live on the West Coast, but currently in Bali. I will actually be in Indianapolis, Indiana on July 7th, leading a Sacred Sisterhood Yoni Steam live. And so if you're interested in that, please message me. This is stuff that we used to do with our communities. We would go into our moon lodges or gather together. And if we all bled during the new moon together, we'd bleed on hay, and then we'd steam together as well. These are ancient practices that we've done in sisterhood. And so being able to be in sisterhood and sing and have ritual and, drink yummy elixirs, hormone balancing elixirs, and be able to chat about what's going on with our life, what's going on with our yoni, our reproductive space, and have that support and feel seen is so, so powerful. And if you're not in Indianapolis, I also have an online course that Yoni steaming is part of it live. It's called Juicy Feminine Living. Some of you might have heard of it. Our next round is beginning in September, and I'm currently taking applications for that. And that's a 4-step process. We really dive deep into a priestess meal plan, nourishing your body temple with also the Yoni steam bathing that we do together. And then we dive deeper into clearing, womb clearing, tantric practices like the Yoni massage, and really being able to tune into where there is this emotional build up and be able to release it through trigger point therapy for your Yoni and connecting with your inner child. And then there's 2 more processes after that. We Shaktivate. We use the jade egg, which I mail everybody, and we activate our Shakti energy to, feel this creative flow that is overflowing, not from a place of depletion and force. And then the last step is manifestation. A lot of the women who come to this course are creative entrepreneurs. They're running sisterhood circles. They've got big, epic visions for this world, and they want to learn how to manifest from a way that's working with both divine feminine and divine masculine energy, so that, we can have more sovereignty and union within as we give our gifts to the world. So that's what I have going on. And I really do hope one day, Sabrina, that you and I are able to co-create in the physical, because I just love what you're saying and what you offer. And you're just magic, sister. I really, really deeply honor you, and you carving out this time to share so much knowledge with those that are listening today. Like, you shared a lot, and just wanting to honor you for just letting it flow out of you. I can really see your passion and care for our sisterhood.
Bless Queen. Well, reflections are eternal. So from one queen to another. And, I just want to share with everyone out there, if you feel inspired by the wisdoms that Allie has shared and just dropped, like, what is going to happen? I need to make it there. That, all of these things are possible for you. And, all it takes is making that decision and going out there and finding out what works for you, getting in touch with your intuition, getting in touch with your sacred yes, getting in touch with your sacred no, figuring out your boundaries. The second that you create a boundary within yourself, you begin to understand what's good for you and what's not good for you. And that is the beginning of, your path, of your life path. And when you are doing your best, and when you are giving the best to yourself, then you can be the best for everybody else. And that's how we make world peace happen. So thank you all for tuning in and listening, and, making the decision to spend time with us today.
I love your gentle, fierce strength. How you say things. It's so motivating. It's so like, yes, but in a way that feels nurturing. Like, this is self-care. So I just want to sit here and do a happy dance for a second. I'm like, woo! Yeah, let's take care of our health. For all that's watching, as we say goodbye, if you'd like to write in the comments maybe what you're feeling most inspired to do with the takeaway from this webinar today, or, if you watch this, we're going to have the recording posted. So if you watch this in the future, if you'd still like to post what's most inspiring for you, how are you going to take care of this body temple? How are you going to say yes to yourself so that you can let your cup be filled up and nourish everyone else from that overflowing space? We'd love to, we'd love to just hear in the comments how people are feeling. What are they saying? What are you saying yes to after this video? And there is a bit of a lag, so.
I have to say, sisters, please follow Modern Goddess Lifestyle and Sacred Lotus Yoni Steam, because I got to tell you, we are just putting our all into content. to give it to you. You know, there's so much time and effort and energy, as you know, that goes, and research that goes into providing accurate and information that's in integrity. And I honor Allie for really doing her works and really put, like, our food and nutrition is so important, and maybe we don't have the time to figure it out for ourselves. So go to her and allow her to support you. You know, if you have issues with your menstrual cycle, if you don't know, if you have questions, things that you can't ask people, you know, come to me. We're here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And while we were speaking, Bree says, say yes to embarking on this massive path to healing. Epic sister, we see you, we love you, and so it is.
And so it will be.
So will be. Absolutely. Okay, well, thank you so much, Sabrina. Go check out Sabrina Sacred Lotus Yoni Steam. She's also on Instagram as well too. That's actually where I ended up finding you. I don't know how we got. Oh, you know what? You posted an amazing post about which yoni eggs to not use and use, because that's another, which, like, we don't have time to get into. Right. Yeah, we don't have time to get into all that today, but she does have a post on which yoni eggs to not put into your body, because some with the crystals can actually be toxic for your yoni. And with the, you know, yoni steaming is really popular. Yoni eggs are really popular. However, we don't want to just go get any yoni egg and put it up our yoni, because it can actually do more harm than good. So that's actually where I found you. I think I saw you post this detailed list, and then I shared it because I was like, yes, we need to know this. Thank you for posting that. And then I think that's how we ended up connecting and finding each other. So yeah, go check Sabrina out on Instagram. And yeah, just loving you all so much. Blessings to your sacred womb, your sacred yoni. Yeah, and I love you, Sabrina. Thank you for your wisdom.
Thanks, sister. It's been a pleasure being here with you.
Absolutely. Okay. Blessings, everyone.